more data now, isn't there? There's more, it's keep going, there's more data. As I guess data projects become more complex, there's more teams, stakeholders involved. Is
Mm.
Agile going to be, is he still going to help or is it going to be overrun? Is there going to be too much going on?
I think agile development by is supposed to be a collaborative effort. And so by nature, there's always going to be multiple teams and stakeholders involved in every agile development. And I think as we've shown, you can scale, you can use agile development on a project where the complexity is lower than that of
Mm,
software development. I still think you can use it for things that are going to be eventually become more complex than software development.
yeah.
Just because the principles themselves are supposed to help you organize your work and be as productive as possible and follow a good, steady, concrete process that's going to help maximize your productivity and the product that you're putting out. And so I think we touched on transparency a little bit earlier, but it really is imperative that there's transparency between the stakeholders and users and the development team. The developers need to fully understand the needs of the user base, and the user base needs to understand the complexity and capacity of what the development team is working on, especially as these things get more and more complex. But you think about some of the Gen AI stuff that's going on now, you need to make sure you really have your data in a good place before you can feed it into Gen AI. Otherwise, it's and so that might be complex. Building the foundation for that might be extremely complex, and the user base might not be aware of that. And so I think most agile teams will use some sort of software. Jira, we use Jira or similar to track their development items. And I think sharing those Jira items with your stakeholders is a great way to get them involved. It also provides transparency into the work that you're completing because you're closing these Jira items out in real time, and they'll be able to see that, okay, these things have been closed out and checked off. That means that we should expect them in the next release cycle. In terms of alignment, so alignment is extremely important for your organization's success. And teams within an organization or a large group, if you think about cities, 300,000 people or something like that, it's going to be pretty hard for everyone to be aligned. But if your big group that you're a part of is aligned, then and following the same similar processes or practices, that's great because everyone's on the same page. So even if you're
Mhm.
not in a development team, you could still apply some sort of agile principles to your working practices. Things like thinking about building things incrementally or applying systematic thinking. There's been a push lately at City from our CIO to unify some of our procedures and get back to basics is the term that he's using. Get back to
Mhm.
basics. And if you think about it, that's what agile really preaches, right? Like it's a uniform set of steps that ensure on time, accurate delivery of work products. And if your groups or other groups in your organization can be aligned to this thinking and these practices, it can really help unify your workforce and improve your operations. Yes, things are going to get more complex, but the principles themselves are not going to change. I think maybe they evolve slightly, but I think these principles can scale as complex or as simple as you need them to be, just depending on what your group or your team is
Mhm.
specifically trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I think I do like that. Get back to basics because I think obviously it is complex. Tech is complex, but I
Yeah.
guess if you've got this process, do this, you're going to achieve. Then if you've got a million and one things to do, you can spiral out of control. And like, I think, where the hell am I going? Like, what
Yeah.
am I doing? Like, this keeps you in the loop. And then also you got that, I guess, that feedback loop. Like, you keep looping in. If things are going wrong or there's challenges, then you can communicate, and then obviously then you move on and then put a solution in place.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you nailed it right on the head is even if it is a complex project, you should still be following the basic steps and doing good development work. Like I
Mm.
said earlier, some people are so obsessed with these fancy, trendy topics, and it's great stuff. But if your data isn't correct, if you have inaccurate or incomplete data, then your predictive analytics and Gen AI machine learning algorithms are going to mean nothing because they're built
Yeah.
on bad data. So, getting back to basics really means how do we ensure our data quality is good, ensure we're following a
Mm.
process that enables us to do good engineering work, and making sure that the work is tested and properly signed off by the right people. Like these are all basic ideas. They're not trendy,
Yeah.
fancy, flashy ideas. It's oh, testing work. Boy, that's pretty boring. Yeah, it is. But you know what? That's how you ensure that your work product is good. And so I really like the get back to basics logo. I might end up stealing that, but I think it really does speak to some of the things that we talked about here today. And some things that again, the beauty of data, you might not be involved in Gen AI products. That's fine. But someone might ask you for an ad hoc, I need an ad hoc report on this. And you can think about these basic things like, is the data that I'm looking at correct? How can I make sure that I, I get this signed off before I send it out? These are really simple concepts that can be applied at various levels.
Yeah, no, definitely. Cool. All right, brilliant. On that note, I really appreciate your time today. Share some interesting stuff. So thank you for your time, Andrew.
Oh, thank you, Ben. This was a pleasure. This was my first podcast. I
You've done great.
appreciate you having me on.
You're great.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a